If you like Credence, I definitely think you're gonna like this. If you don't like Credence, I don't think you're gonna like this. Guys, what's up? It's Ashley. Welcome back to my channel, and today is the release of Penelope Douglas's new book, Five Brothers. I was really lucky to receive an ARC personally from Penelope. I tried to apply on NetGalley and they said that I'm not cool enough.
I'm cool.
Yeah. Side note, can we talk about NetGalley for a sec? Yeah. Anyway, so Penelope actually held a contest on their Instagram. All I had to do was answer with my favorite reading snack. I was one of the winners, and Penelope personally messaged me and reached out to me, and then they sent me a lovely little package. But I was so excited. This is one of my most anticipated releases of the year, and to be able to be gifted a physical ARC from the author themselves is just, it's beyond special. And I know I've mentioned a lot on my channel that I really do credit Penelope Douglas for my romance reading journey. You know, Punk 57 was the first contemporary romance I read. Credence is my favorite standalone. So I just really love and treasure Penelope Douglas's writing. But anyway, I was gifted this ARC. I got to read it, and so now I am just gonna sit down and do a non-spoiler and a spoilery review. You guys know that I have talked about Credence. Credence is a controversial book. This kind of goes on the same guidelines as that. It is its own separate story though. First off, I want to say Tristic's Venom. So Five Brothers is technically a spin-off to Tristic's Venom. Penelope has stated themselves that you don't need to read this prior. I read this last June for reference, and I did forget quite a bit of things. And so I am just saying right now that I would highly recommend reading this before you pick this up. But if you don't want to read this, that's totally fine. I will say though that there is a lot of drama and rivalries with the whole town border and everything, and it all just flows into this book. But anyway, like I said, this is the setup. This is a sapphic romance, and one of the main character in this book, Liv, it's her brothers that we're talking about. So switching gears to Five Brothers. The events of this book are going to take place several months after the events of Tristic's Venom. So Clay and Olivia from the first book, they are now freshmen in college, and Liv has gone up north for school and Clay is staying in town. Our female main character in this book is Christian, and she is one of the best friends to Clay. She pops up quite a bit in Tristic's Venom, and I do remember her being there. I just don't remember specific parts, and that's why I'm kind of wishing that I had read this one prior. But anyway, that's in the past now. Clay's best friend, Christian, is our female main character in this book, and we have five brothers. Now, like I said, this kind of follows the Credence format, where this is not a why choose book. We have multiple love interests, but at the end of the day, our female main character is only going to choose one of these guys. Now, I will say that reading this, I think Penelope took criticism from Credence to make this one slightly better. I know that a lot of the negative feedback in Credence was that people thought that the female main character's pick came out of left field. I personally don't think that. I loved who she picked, but that's just a me thing. This book, I think, does a more obvious job of laying it out for you of who she's going to end up with the further you get into the story. I mean, what's great is she technically isn't even romantic with all five of them. She does have a relationship with all five of them, but it's in different ways. So, like I said, we have Christian, and then we have our five brothers. We have Mackin, Army, Dallas, Iron, and Trace. And Trace and Christian at the beginning of the book, they already hook up a lot. They have a friends with benefits type of relationship. So she's already been with him several times. She hangs out at his house a lot. So she's just very familiar with his family and how things are. Now, in this first chapter, Penelope just really throws you in and lays it out of how this story is going to go. So I'm gonna just say it because it is the first chapter, but basically, after a series of events, Christian ends up at their house for the evening, and she doesn't want to hook up with Trace that night, so she ends up sleeping on the couch, and one of the brothers comes on to her in the dark, and they end up having sex, and she doesn't know which one it is. So this whole book is her trying to figure out which one of them she was with, while also like being with the others. It's fun. It's Credence, but it's not Credence. It's its own story. Nobody is snowed in. Nobody is trapped. For one, we have a totally different climate here. We are in Florida, so there's a lot of tropics. This does take place in the fall, but it would make a great summer read. It was just really, really fun. You do get the POVs of all 6 characters. You do get some brothers more flushed out than others, but that is kind of the way that it had to be, because like I said, she doesn't get romantically involved with every single brother. She is having fun with some of them, and then she's more serious with others. So it's not like one of them for sure she's like, oh my gosh, this is the one I have to be with throughout the whole thing. I would say there's actually maybe 2 or 3 of them where you could see this going into a serious direction down the road potentially. For having so many main characters in this book, Penelope did do a good job at individualizing each brother. I don't think that some of them were carbon copies of the other. For one, Mackin, the oldest, his story is great. Penelope really did a great job with the mental health representation. Mackin served in the military like right out of high school, and you learn in Tristic's Venom that he has raised all of his siblings because his parents had died like when he was in the military, and so he has so much PTSD from that, and then from coming home and having to take care of his siblings, and then you find out some of the things that he had to do to get money to pay the bills. And so he just has so much going on. And then Army, the second oldest, he is a single father where the mother is not involved with the baby at all. And so he's got very interesting things going on. We have Iron, and at the very beginning of the book, it is stated that Iron is going to prison, and you know that. And so she is, being there for him before he goes off to jail. And then you have Dallas, and Dallas hates Christian, and that is very, very stated that he absolutely hates her. And then you have Trace, who is her age, and they just constantly hook up for fun. So yeah, each character had their own thing going on in her home life. Her parents are in the process of a divorce, and her mom, living the luxurious lifestyle that she has for so long, does not want to get a job. And so she's really pushing Christian to marry this guy in his 30s that'll just like take care of them all. She doesn't want that. She has a brother and a sister that her mom is just not around taking care of, and so she takes them over the line to their house a lot, and it's a lot. It was a great story. I had a lot of fun. If you like Credence, I definitely think you're gonna like this. If you like Penelope Douglas books in general, I think you're gonna like this. If you don't like Credence, I don't think you're gonna like this. Just honestly, because a lot of people don't like that book, and that's totally fine. We all have our interests and we all have our tastes, but I just know that this is not going to be everybody's cup of tea. But that's kind of my non-spoilery reviews. So now, if you want to click away, I'm going to get into the spoiler section of this. Yeah, I don't want to hold the book anymore because it's kind of heavy, so I'm just going to post a graphic right here. But now for the spoilery section of this video. Like I mentioned earlier, I really think Penelope took the negative feedback of Credence into consideration. A lot of people really did not like who she chose at the end, and they don't think that it was flushed out. They thought it was very rushed. I reread that book and annotated it, and I still don't see what people are talking about. I really don't. I think Penelope did a great job at say, like, the clues were there from the very beginning to me. And in this book, it's the same way. So Christian does end up with the oldest brother, Mackin. And, you can tell because he is just flushed out more than his brothers with all of the mental health representation and everything that he has been through. You also don't get his POV until a lot further into the book. I also think Penelope kind of has a secret soft spot for those muted dark heroes, because Mackin doesn't really talk a lot in this book until he really gets with Christian and comes out and is able to open up about his trauma and everything. But the other brother that she gets very close with, that you can kind of tell it could go somewhere, even Mackin himself doesn't want to pursue anything with Christian because he thinks his brother deserves this, and that's Army. Like I mentioned, Army is a single father, and in the book it's actually explained that the baby mama of his son, she was a rich girl from the other side of town like Christian, and she was just so ashamed that she got pregnant by a guy on the wrong side of the tracks. And so she just left the baby with him and said, "Don't ever call me again." And this was like the love of his life, and it left him so scarred and traumatized. And, Christian, like Tiernan, is in this house being mommy, cleaning up, taking care of all these guys, which I know is going to be a problem with a lot of other readers. But, Mackin just really saw that, and he's like, Army deserves good. And yeah, and so the other three brothers, like I said, Iron, it's mentioned at the very beginning that he's going to prison. He's going to prison. So Christian is just kind of there to help him pass the time, get him ready for prison, just really, be there for him. And then with Dallas, he hated her so much, but they grew closer. They got to know each other more. It was like a I've got your back kind of friendship. And then Trace, she had been hooking up with him from the beginning, but it was more of a friends with benefits thing. But yeah, so she ends up in this family. She ends up bringing her siblings over. They end up like remodeling the house to I swear to God, there's like 30 people in this house by the end of it. But anyway, it was a really, really good time. I liked it. Like typical Penelope Douglas writing, there's just a lot going on where you have evil parents, other evil adults, secret societies, secret meetings, wealthy men in suits. It had it all, and I loved every minute of it. Well, thank you for sticking around with me while I rambled on and on and on about yet another Penelope Douglas book. This is probably definitely going in my top 10 of the year. I don't know if I like it more than Credence, though. I think I'm gonna have to reread Credence again just to see. Anyway, don't forget to hit like, comment, and subscribe. I hope that you guys all like this book. If you read it and you liked Credence, let me know down below what you thought of this book, like compared to Credence. Let me know what you thought if you haven't read Credence. I don't know, just let me know your thoughts. Penelope is back. Penelope has written 2 books for this year, and I'm excited to see what we get next. Anyways, I will see you guys next time. Bye.